Stephanie.
This is Emily.
And today we are back with another book review called The Leavers by Lisa Ko. So do you want to give a little short premise?
Yeah, sure. So the story kind of follows two main literary protagonists. So one is this adopted boy who at a very young, ripe age, his mother had left him in New York, and he gets adopted by a relatively wealthy couple upstate in New York, and he is trying to kind of find his way through life with the disruption of a recent reintroduction into his life by his actual mother who had left him, and that was the second character. She basically, that other side of the story, follows her side of what exactly happened to her after she abandons her son in New York, and how she ends up regretting it and what decisions she made afterwards in order to sort of reconcile her mistakes.
So one thing I would like to point out, actually two things. First of all, the writing style, the way how it was written was kind of like, it mostly followed along with the boy's narrative like the entire time, and towards like the second half, and then like you start getting glimpses of his mother, Polly, kind of here and there, you know, kind of like from the past and the present, and the past and the present. And at first I kind of, for me, I was a little confused, you know, because I was kind of like, wait, where is she coming from right now? Like, who is this person? Because like, the one thing I was also confusing is like, any book that's like Asian related usually have two names per person. You know, like the first guy, his name is like Deming, or what?
Deming.
Yeah, Deming, and then Dennis. Daniel. So like he had two names, right? So it's kind of like, for him I understood because he was the character I got invested in the first half of the story. The second half of the story is about his mother. His mother is called like Polly, or like, and her Chinese name was like Palin or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So there were times when they were alternating between the names, and I was like, wait, who is this person? You know, because like I wasn't invested in the second character, and she didn't really portray. She didn't really show herself as like a main character until like the second half of the book. In which case I was like, oh wait, hold up a second. Now I have to reevaluate my like main character, because this entire first half was always just the guy Daniel. So that's one thing I want to point out. You can talk about your thoughts about this later. Second thing is, I thought it was a very relevant book in today's society with the whole DACA situation, because I was like, okay, yes, he's an immigrant, so he isn't the same as a dreamer, but like, it's kind of the same thing, you know, where like she comes over kind of illegally, and she has a kid here, whereas other people, like the kid was already born or something like that. That's why they're dreamer status. But like, I just thought it was like super relevant to like the political situation right now with Trump. So.
Okay. Yeah, so I will not deny her second point, especially with her first point. I'm actually glad you brought that up. So like, this book is definitely one of the bigger motifs in the story, is this idea of dual identity. And given the way that Asian Americans and any sort of minority Americans are kind of grown up, we do have, as long as your name is not anglicized in any way, like you're not like from a Western country, you do have this premise of like having two names. So like, I have two names.
I have two names too, but one is not a legal name.
Well, not legal. Like I'm just saying, like you have a subset identity.
Yeah.
Like that's something that like until recently I wasn't even aware was such a unique thing. Really, like it was weird. It's like growing up, I didn't particularly identify as like, this is really strange. But I guess among those peers who don't do that, like they're just like, oh, you have another name? Like, that's interesting. So I think that the idea of dual identity applies both to Daniel Deming and his mother, Polly, and the sort of respective changes it makes to their lifestyle. So like with Daniel, it's very evident, right? Because like he goes from living among a lot of Chinese immigrants, a lot of, you know, very homogeneously Asian community, to like one where
he was living in the Bronx.
I mean, he lived with the amount of like presence in his life, like her Polly's boyfriend at the time, and then his best friend Michael. They were all like very Asian. I would even say close to like just Fujonese, like they were just Chinese. And then he moves over to upstate New York,
which is like the whitest place in the world apparently.
Well, there's not that much. It's like it's homogeneous in a different way. And so he actually develops a different very sense of insecurities and concerns that his younger self didn't have. And I thought that was very like a really great point made by the author
Mm-hmm.
to really mention those subtleties, but also something that's very real. Like it's like his initial concern was like, oh, my mom's going to like, you know, be really mad at me, you know, and like he doesn't really bring this idea when he was younger of like race or like real like more social dynamic things, but also because he's younger, like he's 5 or something.
Like he's like
or
10.
not 10. Yeah, he's 10. Like he's really young. But at the same time, he doesn't think like that. He doesn't think about like, oh, I am different and hard because of like what I look like. But then like as that conversation goes into his adulthood, like that becomes a really strict emphasis for him. He's just like, I'm really different because of this.
Yeah.
Because of that. And like my last name now is this and that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's one thing that also struck me as interesting is how like they're from Fuzhou. Like I feel like there's not really. I feel like a lot of times when I read like a book that's like on Asian American culture or whatever, they don't really specify the region. They would just be like, oh, they are Chinese or they're Japanese or they're, you know, Vietnamese or whatever Asian ethnicity they are. But this one particular was like Fuzhou all the way, because every time he had spoken Mandarin in Chinese, it was always Fuzhounese. It wasn't even like Mandarin, which is like the national language of China. So it was just very like distinctive for me. I was like, oh, okay, so this author actually picked a specific region and actually like went for it, which I actually really liked, just because like sometimes I don't, because it brought a different element of detail that usually isn't there. I mean, I'm not Fuzhounese, but like I do appreciate the element of like actual, you know, just not just define them as Chinese, but like which region of China because they're from. Because honestly, China's huge, you know, there are like so many like subcultures there that like when you just kind of give a broad, oh, they're from China, that doesn't really explain much, because every ethnicity, like every region has their own way of life. So it's kind of like just very distinctive, and I do appreciate that. But the one thing I didn't like about this book was actually Polly's perspective. I mean, I appreciate it in terms of it definitely brought an element of like, okay, now I understand what actually happened because it brought her perspective along with it. But I don't appreciate how it came really at the end.
Okay.
Because I was kind of like, I don't know, I just felt like the author kind of just like subtly put that in there because she's like, oh wait, this would describe things so much better. Let me put that towards the end of the book, you know? And then, because like in the beginning, like it just didn't make sense for me where like everything was all about Daniel or Domain, you know, from chapter 1. And then all of a sudden towards like the second half of the book, oh, my mother started to come into the play again. It's like, I would have liked it to be more of a dual perspective, like from the beginning, and not like towards the end. And then like even when her perspective, because when her perspective first came out, it was very flip-flop between present and past, like I said before, where there were times when I was kind of like, wait, like is she talking about the present day or talking about the past day, you know, like I don't understand. And then and she went to whole history, like how she went to America, etc., which I mean, I do appreciate that information, but I wish that was something that was also brought in earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would say that I didn't have as hard of a time with the change of POV.
Okay.
Just because I think Polly's presence was always pretty dominant.
Not really though.
Like indirectly, because like the
well,
fact that
she's the mother.
Like, right, and I thought that was enough for me. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Like it's the fact that Daniel Deming's like change, that drastic physical like dynamic of like him moving, would have never happened without Polly, of course, and what her decisions made. So I think there was always a lurking question of like where she was, what her point of view was, and so by the very end, like when she comes in, I didn't necessarily find it disruptive, and I wasn't like shocked by the choice of the author.
Yeah, but anyways, I think overall though, like I actually like this book. Who picked this book? Did I pick this book?
Yes.
I picked this book, yeah. So we had gotten this book through Book of the Month. I forgot to mention that earlier. I think it came like a few months ago, and we just finally got to read it in May. Wow, it's been a while. But I actually really did enjoy this book overall. Like I thought the ending was really good too, because like not only, because a lot of the big part of the book was Daniel like having kind of like identity crisis, you know, and at the end he really kind of found himself, and I definitely appreciate like his path to his, you know, whatever. And I also like the aspect of the whole like how he found like the people that he was with back in the back in the day, and he kind of like reconnected with them. And I felt like that because that really helped him identify himself as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I do also have to add though that I did have a little bit of contribution for why she picked this book though. I think you like asked me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then you were like, I wanted to do a thriller, and I'm like, no, just choose this one.
Yeah,
so, I'm glad
yeah.
she's okay with it.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely, this is definitely a book that I did like overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yeah, I definitely would say that I would recommend it to other people to read, just because like the point of view is so fresh.
Yeah.
And so relevant, as you mentioned. And yeah, I think overall the writing style was really on point.
This is the type of writing style I do like, other than the POVs. But like the prose,
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate that. I like other books where it was like chemistry, where it was like all over the place.
It was more that was more poetry. This
Yeah.
one's much more respective of
Right.
what traditional prose is, traditional being the key word.
Mhm.
And
Structure here.
so yeah, so let us know what you also thought about this book, and if you had any additional comments to add to our topic.
Yeah, but that's it for today. We also do have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so do follow us on there. We also recently started an iTunes and Google Play podcast. So if you're interested in listening to us on the go as opposed to watching the videos, we do curate a few select book review podcasts every month. So yeah.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.